I'm a basketball archaeologist. I want to go to the roots of where like basketball originated, how the Naismith name came about. It's self-proclaimed. You know, a lot of people think it's like, oh, Naismith. Oh, why? They're like, oh, people don't. I'm the grand lost nephew of James Naismith.
Welcome to the Champion This podcast with Brianna, Salvatore, Dueck, and Chelsea Poppens, where we share the incredible stories of athletes and entertainers who are using their platforms to create positive change in the world and the communities they live in.
We are fired up to have our first live guest here with us today, Nico Ansom, aka Nico Naismith, aka basketball architect, streetball legend, designer, incredible impact driver in the community. So before we get started, I'm going to introduce Nico and just kind of share his highlight reel, for lack of a better word. But Nico is the founder and curator of the Venice Ball League. The Venice Ball League is a community tournament founded in 2006 on the legendary courts of Venice Beach. It has become one of the most prominent summer leagues in the world. If you haven't checked it out, you got to get out to Venice this summer. Nico is also the founder and creative director of the Hoop Bus, which I have the honor of sitting as an advisor to this incredible nonprofit, which is a 501c3 that amplifies community engagement through vehicles of change, namely the Hoop Buses. He's also a basketball architect, designer of the Venice Ball apparel brand, and he's recently launched a Venice Ball collab with Puma. These incredible shoes that are in stores now, so get yourself a pair. I got a pair. They go hard. They're great. And he's also a community activist. He's been doing it for 28 years, which is wild because if you look at him, he looks like he's 28. So literally been doing it since he came out of the womb, and built his first court 28 years ago when maybe you were 12, Nico. Kind of wild.
How old are you, Nico? 28 years?
Like greatest intro of all time. I'm grateful. Thank you for the honor of being the first guest. It's good to be in a room with champions. I've witnessed both of you be champions quite recently. You got a different definition of what a champion represents. I'm honored to be in this room, and thank you for the warm, long, and
well-deserved intro, Nico.
Well-researched, Nico.
Yeah, exactly.
I edited the 20 years because the basketball activism, I guess, begins when you realize this is like you love something and the circumstances of the space don't allow you to play. There was no court in the town that I grew up in. So remember, then I did one. So instantly it becomes the revolution. We shall not become victims of this soccer regime, this football. we want the hoops. We want to score more baskets.
We will find a different ball.
Yes, exactly.
Different places. So reflecting back, this one you added, you don't officially realize what you're doing, but it is a form of activism. So shout out to my mother for elaborating this vision from the jump. Humble beginning on gravel. Nobody wanted to play basketball with me except for my Labrador dog named Dueck. So it was one-on-one sessions every night.
Love that.
Yeah.
Well, expand on that more. I just learned that you're actually from France. So I'd love to hear a bit more about how you grew up, how basketball became a part of you, and how you kind of found your passion for it.
Grew up in France. My mother and father are French. I was born in San Francisco. By the time I was 2,
the Bay Area,
brought back to France, the Bay.
Let's go.
And landed back in France with my brother and I, my mother, and where it began, La Saint-Cloud, small town outside of Paris. Like I said, there was no basketball court in my city. There was a soccer goal over the cages, the football cages. Didn't like the situation that I was always left as the goalie. Kids score, so grab the ball.
You weren't fast enough?
Catch a feeling.
Because you're tall, they stuck you in the goal.
Yeah. Like, oh yeah, okay. I was a good striker, but this is not what I didn't really enjoy doing. So yeah, started a revolution, dunked the ball, caught a feeling.
Let's go.
What I wanted to do. We launched the team. I went from the small region to regional to national, went all the way to the national championship was my little school team. And then, start climbing the ladder, researching where is there more basketball. Kind of made our way to Paris. eventually when I was 16. When I was 14, I came to Venice Beach where I discovered the Hooper's Paradise basketball courts that are now home of the Venice Basketball League. And that's how the fast track version of where it all began for me.
I love that.
That's awesome, Nico. I think that's a great lead-in question too, because you moved to the U.S. when you were 14 or 16?
When I was
16. So you moved to the U.S., you play college ball for a bit, and then fast forward to 2006, you end up founding Venice Ball, which again, as we mentioned in the intro, is the legendary street ball community tournament on the streets of Venice that takes place each summer. Can you tell us a little bit about why you decided to launch Venice Ball League and kind of how that came about?
How did we start the league? Yeah, I mean, I think there was a very distinct understanding that I was coming here to fulfill my hoop dream, and there was going to be nothing that was going to get in the way of that. Sometimes it's like, it was a harsh reality to think that I was one of the best players in France, and arriving to my high school, we were top 10 in the nation. Fairfax High School, we had 4 All-American players that played on my team that year. But realizing that I'm not as good as I thought I was, and maybe those dreams were, people said they were unrealistic. I thought they were very much, I just had to put in more work. So what I did from the time I got to LA till 2006, I would go to practice. And then what I would do after practice, because I didn't get my full shot at like playing a proper high school season, was go to the park. And so I would go from park to park. This is, early 2000s. Every playground, from 4 to 10 is packed. There's 2-3 games next. And just played and learned how to play, discovered this pickup basketball culture, kind of fell in love with it, and discovered LA through the lens of playing pickup basketball. So I went from playground to playground for almost 6 years after that. Went to junior college, didn't really fit in the whole program and the script and the style of coaching. So again, I always found home on the playground, and I always loved to play like new competitions. So my friends and I made it a point to kind of crash different playgrounds every day. So we would go to different parks. I had a site called ballinla.com that was kind of a guide to pick up basketball.
Okay, love that.
Rate the competition,
Rate
awesome.
the competition. That's intense.
Yeah, it would say what type of runs you had. There was like a little 3-minute intro. I'd do like
Did you post photos of people? You're like, if this guy comes to your court, don't pick him for your team.
Right. Santa Monica Hoopers are trash.
Like, ask for him. Really think you're nice. Yeah, I would put some little tips, but mostly like hours of open gyms, right? You really like, this is a time, like, this is early internet, people this Instagram. It's like, if you know, if you don't know, then you're clueless. So I thought it was a helpful tool. I did that for 6 years until I discovered Venice for real. And I was like, well, everybody's already coming here. This is the best court. Has some of the best talent already there. So we decided to launch a league to kind of unite all of the best playgrounds around the city. And it was an instant hit. Stuck with it. Complete chaos. We went from a tournament to organize, let's do this every weekend. Let's do this. Let's do it for the kids too. So I incorporated a youth league in 2008. And then I don't know, I just can't believe it's just been so many years, so many events, so many dunks, so many highlights.
What about those highlights? You said there's been a lot of highlights. I guess, what ways have you been able to see the Venice Ball League positively impact LA and the community?
That's a good one. Have we made positive impact around the city? I mean, we created a platform. We created a place for, I don't want to call us misfits, but there's an understanding that's like, we're players that play out the box, that play a little raw and uncut and unleashed. And, there's a certain style and convention that, coaches expect. There's a certain pressure that comes with playing organized basketball. And so I think we created a home for a lot of us that just didn't feel like we fitted this kind of basketball general system. A lot of us don't have the chance and opportunity to meet the perfect match. somebody that understands your style, your play.
Yeah. Do you think it created opportunity for players who are used to that structured coaching and format to step in and play, but get kind of a different perspective of the game? And since everyone else is playing this different style and they come in and they kind of have to learn it, have you seen that take shape in athletes that have come to play?
Yeah, I mean, we've had countless like success stories. I think it was just a place where all be and all have fun. At the beginning, it was always like bringing fun back to the game, right? There was always a scenario of like, man, the disappointment of not making the team. Like we're like already shying so far away from that like NBA dream to where like, man, this is not fun, you know. And so we wanted to create a place that was fun, and I think a lot of people are attached to it. And you talk about structural players. There's a lot of Division I players that came through, averaged like 4 points. I'm thinking of Deshaun Stevens. That
put him on blast. He couldn't hang.
He has a list of people that
pros. We've had street ball players. I mean, I don't know, it's countless.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I played in the Venice Ball League this summer. Nico launched the women's VBL this summer, which was awesome. And, you know, I'm like, I played pro, I played in college, and it was a different vibe. Like hooping on this outdoor, hooping on the streets, like the rules of the game are slightly different too. There's a moment where you can literally like call another player out and go one-on-one and like show your stuff. And it was very freeing, honestly, because there's no pressure. You're just out there like doing you with a crew of other hoopers. I've never met any of these women before, but it just was beautiful. And that's the power of the game. But yeah, I mean, I'm a testament to that as well. Like definitely grew up in a more structured environment, but I found a lot of freedom and had a ton of fun this summer out there with the women's VBL.
I love the aspect of bringing fun back to the game, because I remember in college going through season and not enjoying the game as much because it's your career, it's your job, and you got to remember the little girl that learned to love basketball and learned to dream and figure that out. So I lean into that. I empathize with that.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. We created our own stage, our own platform, our own rules. You know, we kind of took the free throws out of the game, trying to incorporate like rules. It's like it's windy at the beach. We don't really have time for that. I want to see who's the most game never stop. Let's make it fun. Let's make it entertaining. Let's have a DJ so we have a soundtrack in the back so you can kind of get in the zone while you're playing. Let's incorporate the MC because that's a very important part of like street ball culture, right? Where you can kind of earn a nickname, and a lot of these nicknames turn into a household name.
Brianna means business. Remember the name.
People's Instagram handle, like selling T-shirts and campaigns, and you know now like YouTube sensations, and so it's cool to think that you could come through that stage and be seen and be heard and be appreciated, and for some of them like be able to make a career out of it. You know, it's the cutthroat American system. Like we got the most talent, but I feel like the least opportunity when it comes to basketball, right?
Yeah.
You get played all over the world. You know, the system of like Pro A, Pro B, National 1, National 2, small countries. And even if you play regional, you'll play with a sense of pride, with a jersey and potential fans in the crowd. You know, it goes from college to the YMCA or 24-hour fitness or your local adult league where nobody just really makes the effort to even practice. No, I think it was a harsh reality that I was not willing to cope with. So,
for sure.
we created, but I don't want to take all of this credit. There's just so many people that pour into this vision, right? It's just an idea until people really connect to it, and you form a league, and then different teams bring their own vibe and energy. I always try my best. That's why I put curator as like an inviting a very diverse community, people that are going to play a different style of play, make it international, making it culturally interesting.
100%.
So appreciate a little bit from each other, and again create this sense of sense of family, sense of a very diverse, fun community. Like we can empower each other to dream, and for me that's what a dream team is all about. Is like is the complementary talent and skills that you bring to the table, just like a basketball team, right? So
yeah, for sure. Chelsea, we're going to get you out there this summer. And Hannah, we got a Chelsea Poppens, and then me and Hannah O'Flynn, we had the chance to participate in a 3-on-3 tournament with Nico during NBA All-Star Weekend. So we'll be back this summer. And Chelsea, we got to get you a nickname. What could be your...
My nickname's Pop.
Pop is good. Pop is good. Okay, we can stick with that. I'm sure Mouthpiece has another one for you. So
has a better one.
Let's take it to the streets this summer. See your nickname.
My street name.
Yeah, exactly. Switching gears a little bit, Nico, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about kind of your heart behind founding the Hoop Bus. Again, for our listeners, Hoop Bus is a 501c3 nonprofit, amplifies community engagement through vehicles of change. The Hoop Bus partners with nonprofits, schools, and brands to increase attendance in both sports and school itself, create awareness and engagement at events, and spread love through basketball. I, again, am honored to sit on the advisory board for this nonprofit. But Nico, yeah, tell us more about why you decided to start the Hoop Bus, and a little bit about the work today.
Absolutely. I'm sitting on it right now in the driver's seat, kind of like soaking in and reminiscing. I mean, I think it was just the natural transition, 15 years of EBL, and people were always like, I wish this was happening in my city. I wish this was happening in my town. And slowly but surely, we started traveling and importing and bringing our teams from tournaments to Mexico, around the United States, to China, and to Japan. And the more you travel, the more you realize, like, I don't know, it's the best teacher, it's the best connector. I didn't spend too much time in school, but through traveling, I think it's really expanding my horizon. And it was always, I guess, with the intention of like connect and like bring your favorite people along, and as you grow older, like you have more and more like incredible people that you meet, and you want to be inclusive of these people that you meet to embark on these adventures, because you're like, man, you never believe what happens. What we did is bought the biggest bus that we can find, a 40-foot giant Bluebird bus, and put some hoops on it. There was no real like program or agenda, like, we're going to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to spread love to basketball. We're going to bring it to very unique spaces and places. We're going to use it as a means to connect. We're going to keep balling around the country, eventually around the world. And yeah, Hoop Bus was born. And a couple months later, Kobe died. And so as you can see here, this is the original Hoop Bus mural.
It's beautiful.
It's kind of faded a little bit. So we decided to dedicate the bus to Kobe and all of the life lessons that he's inspired and instilled in us, and drive across the country and took on a leap of faith and was like, hey, we're going to do a Kobe pilgrimage tour. It was the second year of the Show Love series, and we're going to make our way to Chicago on a Kobe pilgrimage tour with all of our best friends and most talented humans that play in this basketball league. So we had the legendary Sick With It, one of the pioneers of the streetball.
Yeah.
The voice of Venice Beach, Mouthpiece. Ruff and Elijah Bonds, who are some of the most bounciest guys. Chris Costello, who's been our resident photographer and one of the original like busketeers, pioneer of this Hoop Bus. Rest in peace. But
rest in peace.
As you can see, his work and his spirit is like imprinted on all of the buses forever.
Yeah.
And we went to Chicago, and five storms later, we're unveiling a brand new court on the west side of Chicago and hosting our whole program and basketball festival. And I think that unlocked the whole possibility of scenic routes and places to go. Just kind of reminded us that like whatever we're doing here in Venice, we could literally do anywhere, right? Like go from place to place and just bring that similar energy and intention to places. So it went from that to coming home, and then COVID, they shut down our courts. And then we kind of took it personal and like, you can't shut down our bus. You're not going to come put some locks or remove our rims. So then we just kept going and going. And every city we go to, they're like, when are you coming back? Oh, we love a bus in our city. We love a bus in our city. and playing the bus in Chicago and trying to build a master team and figure out how we can replicate and elevate those experiences.
Was there ever a point in time where it just like kind of blew up, where you're like, wow, it's really amping up, it's really escalated from the vision you had in the beginning?
Yeah, there's so many highlights. I mean, obviously, I think the most significant one is like, at least to the world, and like the stamp of like the NBA calling us to be like, hey, we would like to feature your bus in our NBA 75 commercial. We saw a script,
Yes.
cream bus, ice cream truck, and we think like the Hoop Bus would be a much better way to tell the story of 75 years of basketball. And I thought they were kind of kidding at first. And then come to find out they were for real. And there was like Michael Jordan going to drive the bus to the NBA 75 lane. Come to find out it was Michael B. Jordan.
Still epic. Still very cool.
And like, yeah, you're meeting all these legends and they're like, oh, I know about the Hoop Bus. And like, I love it. And, you know, now we're certified, like stamped with like 50 NBA legends and like 30 plus WNBA All-Stars. Signed this bus. I've been on this bus. So I think it added a level of like credibility to the world and like a justification of like for a kid who had NBA dreams. It was like, I made it to the league, you know, I'm here with the big boys, like grandma, mama made it. You know, it was a cool realization. And then everybody's like, you know, and you travel around town and everybody's like, oh, that's the NBA bus. And I was like, no, we're the Hoop Bus. It also added a whole other set of like identity crisis, like somehow it's all working out as it should.
100. Nico, Chelsea and I were fortunate enough to also be with you in Indy for the NBA All-Star Weekend back in February. And during this weekend, the Hoop Bus put on some absolutely insane events. There were 2 buses out there, one at the NBA crossover zone, and the other one, we were able to renovate a court at a church and do some really, really great work. So can you share with us a little bit more about kind of NBA All-Star Weekend that just took place, some of your favorite moments, and what this experience was like for you?
Man, the most incredible week or 2 week of life. As much as I love the game and I'm doing all of these productions and ideas, like I'm a hoop hunter, you know, I'm a basketball archaeologist. I want to go to the roots of where like basketball originated. How the Naismith name came about, it's self-proclaimed. You know, a lot of people think it's like Naismith. Why? They're like, people don't. I'm the great lost nephew of James Naismith. But
the nickname's very fitting, though, Nico. You really are. You embody Naismith. You are ball is life in the best ways.
They were like, Hoop Bus is the greatest invention since the peach basket. I don't remember who told me that, but it stuck with me, and I was just like, okay, basketball's a young sport. Like, it's born here and it's exported around the world like wildfire. So to be able to go to Indiana, where the first game of basketball was ever recorded, to meet John Wooden's family, to go to Gentryville, the Barnes, to go to Larry Bird's high school, and like really like live like and breathe and sit in those spaces, right? The biggest high school gyms in the nation, in the world. To go to towns that are towns of 2,000, but have 5,000 seats in their high school gym, to be able to see that, bring my favorite people from around the world. You literally were like had a dinner with 50 people from
celebrating your birthday. It was epic.
It was my birthday. So that program, 2 historical court renovations, favorite people balling on an Indy 500 track. Everything we did, it was like a stack up of like epic moments on epic moments with the most incredible people that I've been blessed to encounter through my life. So it was one of those like, yeah, we put in a lot of work, right? It was like a preparation since I think I went there last October or November, scouted. You go meet the people, you ask a lot of questions. We went to about 40 different gyms and courts. What can we do? How can we leave a legacy kind of impact? Who's doing the good work? Like, there's a lot of research that go into and production that goes into putting these like major moments together. We ended up with 2 buses. 1 bus is in the convention center, our second NBA partnership, right? Well, again, like certifies that stamp, and to be able to, to reflect on it, see the impact, the legacy, and again, the joy that we create, I think is like, can't forget and discount like the work we do is fun. A lot of days it's not the most interesting type of work, but to see it completed when you put in that much effort and intent to get to that moment where you can actually live it, it's
something
special.
Else. It's true. Chelsea, this was your first encounter with Hoop Bus, your first time seeing kind of the magic of the bus. Tell us about, how was that for you? What was your initial reaction after that weekend? Did you feel the same?
It was magical. It was really cool to see the power of basketball and sports and the power of bringing people from across the world to be a part of the Hoop Bus and what you've created. People actively flock towards the good that you're doing and the good that you're creating, and the energy that is like surrounds it is super impactful and super crazy to witness, because just like you said, it was like a movie the whole weekend, going from one thing to the next, going to the crossover event where you're actively like beating up on kids on the court
in the best way, in the most loving, inclusive, come discover the joy of basketball way. But yes, getting buckets on the kids,
dunking on them.
Chelsea's right there with them though. She has no mercy, y'all. This is competitive,
but like that's
the right way, I think.
Yeah, you gotta show them what's up. You gotta show them where it could be. But it was so cool. Even the court that you created. So the last day I was there on Sunday, where we had our 3v3 and the court you guys restored, that was the first time I've seen one of your courts in person that you have restored, and I saw the before and the after, and it was crazy what you guys were able to do. I think it was in that weekend, right?
It was. We worked on it for 10 days. It was a lot of layers, a lot of work. Again, I didn't put too much on my hands. It was mostly delegated. So
good.
Incredible Micah Johnson for the design. Obviously, we worked together on the concept of like uniting the world. Like, there's a lot of refugee kids that go to these schools. There's a lot of kids. It's a newcomer school, so there's like over 20 languages that are spoken in that space. Again, when I go to these places, I try to find impactful stories. I try to find how do we weave the thread of what we're doing and the message we're trying to spread. So when I have stories like this of new kids just barely coming to America, some of them with no parents that have been through like very traumatic stories, and to think that we could bring our vehicle of change to these places. I myself, I'm a kid, I'm an immigrant with like a big dream to arrive in America, and like to be able to meet someone else who's foreign and kind of made their dream come through to their passion and their love. So I thought it was really special to be in that space. And I'm speaking French, I'm speaking Spanish with some of the kids, and you're like really soaking in all the cultures. And that was a court that didn't have rims for 10 years.
Wow.
It was kind of like a lost space. I mean, they have really nice gyms in that facility, but to be able to bring like new space to life, to dream, and we got all the flags of the world, and it's a lot of work to put these courts together. So I had Victor and Trevor all overnight working 14, 16-hour shifts.
Yeah, shout out to the Hoop Bus team for real. Those are that whole squad. Those are the real MVPs.
They did work.
Everyone putting in work. The entire squad. That's the family right there.
Work, that's dream work. I always said it. I can only take so much credit, right? An idea is just an idea. I mean, you got to put in the work, and you got to put a dream team together.
But also the flow of that weekend and the power of like the creativity that was all over the place with the people that you were having there, the artists. It was such a wealth of creativity and brainstorming with that same energy. It was great.
Yeah. And speaking of the global nature of the Hoop Bus, Chelsea and I, amongst everyone else who encountered the Hoop Bus during that weekend, saw just how much of a connector the Hoop Bus is. It really, cuts across cultures. It doesn't matter the language that you speak. We all get out there, we're shooting in front of the hoop bus, and it's an instant connection. Like Chelsea and I built friendships with people across the world. Gianluca from Italy, John Marco, also high jump world champ from Italy. We had George from Greece, really global community. Speaking of that global love through basketball, word has it, I know this, but for our listeners, Hoop Bus is launching a bus in France and a bus in Philippines. So big things happening in 2024. Can you speak a little bit more about these two upcoming buses? What can we expect to see from the Hoop Bus this year and moving forward? What's your vision for the Hoop Bus?
Well, we've
Just an
dropping
easy question, just a lob.
the layup of a lifetime. It's exciting. I mean, we've been to 48 states. We've done 5 cross-country tours at this point. We love the U.S. and what it represents. I think it's just time to bring it home full circle. We've been exporting this style and this passion and this love. And I think the further we go, the more it gets appreciated, the more the impact. When you start going to third world countries like the Philippines and, we do a lot of acts of giving, the gift is only as good as it's received.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go in places, the Philippines, where a majority of kids that play don't have kids, first of all, this is the most grateful, happiest country that I've been to. Like, it's smiles, it's giggles, and it's everybody loves basketball, right? You find your match and passion like literally everywhere you go. So the excitement reigns supreme around it. Some of the most resilient, and again, there's just not that much resources. There's like a majority of kids play without shoes. There's one ball per village. They find a way to make it happen, but we want to make sure that I'm a kid from a whole other country across the world, that we can inspire more kids like me that had a dream to go across the world and play basketball and do it also, right? Like dream beyond borders, beyond limitations, beyond circumstances. So to go to places where it feels like, bring basketball where it's needed most is one of our kind of like tagline. And I think the time is now. We have a hoop Jeep in construction, the first of its kind, built from scratch from the chassis on up.
How's that different than a bus?
Yeah, we're incorporating the style and the authenticity of the Philippines. It is
I love that.
Around some of these streets, the wires are really low, so we're gonna have to incorporate some of the classical, incredible, rich Jeep culture that they have, or the Americans left these Jeeps after the war. And like the true Filipinos, they're very creative and intuitive, so they just cut these Jeeps and then stretch them like limousines. And they stack up 50, 60 people at a time in there. There's a rich culture of art around it and a rich pride around these jeepneys. And we thought about shipping a bus, but then we just like fell in love with what those aesthetics look like. And then we also wanted to be mobile. And, since there's thousands of islands connected together, we also want to be able to hop. We want to be able to Highland hop and go get these buckets everywhere. So that is in motion. The Hoop Bus France is in full circle. I'm not putting pressure on timelines. And, so it's not if, it's when.
Yeah, for sure.
Shots in the world, just remind a lot of people listening, sometimes it's hard the fear of rejection and understanding that you might ask something and somebody will probably say no or ignore or not respond. With a lot of bricks and air balls, but then one of the shots is like swish and it's like game. He's like
shooting with that confidence, baby.
Let's go. Keep shooting your shot out there. If anybody's listening, trying to get inspired, because it's not many people are going to relate with the message or the vision or the interest, but eventually you keep shooting, you keep going, it's going to stick. So right now we got a mock-up, we got an idea, trying to figure out, the French politics is always a little complicated, the bureaucracy.
Yes, we do know.
After
living in France for 3 years in Paris, I know the mess of the French administration at times. We love France. We're Francophiles for sure, but des fois, c'est vraiment difficile.
We can agree and attest to that. Yeah. The mentality is like, I used to tag and do a lot of graffiti growing up. My name was Asphyxie, the asphyxiation of like the regime of France, or just the archaic like mindset of like, we don't want it. Why you don't want it? Well, it's different. I don't know why, but it's not what we've been doing. So therefore, no. And you're like, so it's just slow, but I think it's that much more pour into that why we need to go there, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the street ball culture in Paris and France is amazing. It's totally, there's an incredible crew of hoopers over there. The street ball culture is well developed. But yeah, bringing that love to France and to Europe, I think is a slam dunk. It's awesome.
You build it, it will come. Yes.
Yep.
And it has to come back home, right? I think it's like, I've been here for 25 years, but there's still those roots, I'm a Franco-American, American French guy. I'm excited to bring in France and then around Europe, show love across Europe. I've already committed to my good friend Smooth and repping his, drop buckets, not bombs t-shirt.
Shout out to Smooth.
As soon as the war is over, we're launching right through, even if we have a moment and access to it, to go and help rebuild. We already have some funds allocated towards this hometown reconstruction.
Yeah, for listeners out there, Smooth is an incredible human, also European global dunk champion. He comes from Ukraine and is really, really passionate about peace in his own country. So that's kind of what Nico's referring to here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I met him too. He's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
Love him.
Yeah, up a lot of places to go, right? There's still that dream. Is like, as much as I love to spell out, the joy has to be reciprocated. But like, this is why I'm so excited and passionate, because I could picture myself seeing the world through the lens of basketball, and that hoop lead the way, and then all the people kind of gravitate around it. But I feel like we've seen the U.S. now. It's time to explore, Mexico, across the world.
Let's go.
In Africa. So yes, it's the wheels are in motion.
Things coming, people. Big things. Huge.
Watching plenty of room on the bus for more minds to connect and spread these buckets of dreams.
I love it. Yeah. Well, before we get into our lightning round, do you have any words of advice for anybody listening that wants to follow their dreams, their passions, wants to figure out how to have a positive impact in their community, or maybe even how to get involved in anything that the Hoop Bus is doing?
I spoke on it briefly. Is like, don't be scared to ask. Be curious. Ask 1,000 questions. Get out in the world. Like, my mindset is kind of get up and go, and really.
You're like, just do it.
Like, yeah.
You wake up, it's like, just make the most of today.
Mm-hmm.
Not promised. Just experience it, live it unconditionally, and go hard after it. I mean, at this point, like, anything that you want to do, you can like type it and Google it. It'll tell you the steps. You gotta put in the work. You gotta want it more than others, because generally the dreams that people want are the most common, and so I don't know, they might not be, but there's a lot of people that are going to be chasing for the same dream. So you're going to have to put in the more effort, and the more people you ask, the more likely you are to get help along the way. So try to lead with passion, with heart, and with curiosity, and just get up and get out, do it. Don't ever give up. Yeah, don't get stuck through overthinking it also. Mm-hmm. And
like you said, there's going to be a lot of rejection out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't ever get discouraged with that. Yes.
Yeah. That's a great word, Nico. And Chelsea and I can both attest to the fact that you really live that out. You embody that. And you have found your passion, your purpose, and you're driving major impact through that passion and purpose. And it's super inspiring. I know I'm fired up after our conversation. I'm sure our listeners are also stoked and ready to embrace their own purpose and get involved with the Hoop Bus. bus coming near you soon. So before we let you go, we are going to launch into a lightning round. So we have 5 questions. You have like 30 seconds each to answer them. It's very, very quick. We're going to roll through this. You ready, Nico? Ale, he has his game face on. Let's go, let's go. Okay, first question. Which country has the most intense trash talkers?
Maybe it's state. Maybe
state, true.
United States, USA, New York City specifically.
That tracks. What country that surprised you the most in terms of level of hoops?
Coming back to France. They're coming back stronger and better.
Yeah. And it's intense, low key. I was like, yo, they don't play over here. You get knocked down.
That's French sign.
Super. Jamov Court, shout out. Okay, Nico, what's your go-to game-winning shot?
Cross, hezzy, cross, tween, through the lane, put everybody to sleep, and hit somebody open on the drive for the easy layup. I'm a pass first guy, but like if you sauce it up, you put a little bit of like put him to sleep, rockabye babies. It'll open up a little bit the offense, but it depends how much seconds you got. If you guys don't got that many seconds, I would say one dribble, pump fake, shoot.
You're not gonna pull the Caitlin Clark game-winning shot. Just logo it up.
No, I don't. I mean, if there's 1 second, I'll take the shot, but I'd rather set somebody up for a better shot.
Yeah, he wants to give him the sauce. Double cross, hezzy, tween, through the lane, dish.
Yeah.
Who's the most famous hooper you've crossed up?
Who did I cross? I definitely crossed Meta World Peace numerous times. And he was still with the Lakers.
Let's go.
That was a good one. Yeah, he asked me, he's like, you know this guy? He asked my brother the next day, you know this guy? And he was like, he's good. And then he asked me playing in my league to earn his respect. The next week, he's playing with his kids on the boardwalk. He had his 2 kids on his team, and they lost by 30. And then he went to Twitter, and he's like, I need some good players here.
Let's go.
League is no joke.
I love it.
That's amazing. Okay, last question, Nico, right here. You already kind of touched on this, but one piece of advice for any person out there looking to start their own nonprofit, would it be fight through the rejection? You kind of touched on it a little bit, but just one word.
I feel like one word is hard.
One sentence.
Go for it.
Or is there anything you learned when you started your nonprofit that you think people should know?
Find people that are smarter than you, that whatever you're not good at, find them.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
delegate.
Yep.
Build a team. No, you're not going to be able to do it alone.
Yeah.
The structure of nonprofit is built with a board of directors, a board of advisors. Like as you build it, you need people off the jumps. Find people that are complementary to your skills, and build that dream team and stick through it.
Yeah.
I love it. That was definitely not a sentence.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
We'll take it. Cool. Well, it's so good to have you, Nico. For all of our listeners, if you like this podcast, like, share, follow. And we'll also have all of Nico's and Hoopa, Spanish Beach League, all the social profiles in our show notes and resources for anything that you're looking for in the future, or if you're looking to get connected with Nico, we can certainly help with that.